Jordan Ellis here for LowKick, mate. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Robert Whittaker. How's it going, Rob?
Good, mate. Good. How are you?
It's great. And how was your Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, it was good. It was spending a lot of time with the family and with kids. Christmas is all about kids. You might be hearing them in the background screaming around. Christmas is all about kids, so they loved it. Absolutely loved it. Wasn't fun going through New Year's and Christmas, having to watch what I eat and whatnot and train through it. But it is what it is. We got to make sacrifices sometimes.
That's what I was gonna ask. How was it, dealing with, a full camp, potentially the biggest fight of your life, and you're trying to enjoy the holidays with your kids, as you say, and spend time as much time with them. How did you balance it?
Yeah, it's just make sure I go to training, enjoy the times afterwards, and don't eat too much.
It's easy, really. Then, and how is training going? Obviously, the whole world's impacted by COVID. Is it impacting you?
Yeah, definitely. I think COVID's affected everybody. So like the way we trained, the times we trained, especially earlier on in the year when it was, really heated up and there was a lot of lockdowns. It's it is what it is. I think the whole world is kind of dealing with this and getting used to the new way of life. I think this is something that's going to be haunting us and lurking over our shoulders for the foreseeable future. So we managed in a routine. We managed in a way of being able to do what we needed to do, get our sessions in, get our training in, and we've adapted, I think, like most of everybody else.
And obviously Izzy and his team they've been very vocal about it's so bad over there. They were thinking about relocating. Was it never that bad for you and your team? You were able to, skate around it?
I don't think it was as bad because they had a lot of problems with leaving and entering the country. But I guess it did get bad to a point where, gyms were shut down. What are you supposed to do when the gyms are shut down? But fortunately enough, I have a lot of resourceful guys in my team and in my coaching staff, and we managed to work out a routine of isolating ourselves and some core partners and partner works in isolated locations, and we made it work. I think, like I said, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing, making it work.
Good. And just while we're on the topic, like a COVID thing going on in Australia right now, isn't there, with Novak Djokovic? What do you make of all that?
I got no idea. I keep my head down. I don't really pay attention to too much of the media and what's going on. I live under a rock, if you would.
Yeah, especially when you got a massive fight coming up. And we'll move on from that. And just before we get on to the fight and what's next for you, how do you look back at 2021? Was it just the one fight in the end? And how do you reflect on the year?
Yeah, 2021 was weird because it just felt like I just went like this, and I got the one fight in, and then it was about like, am I fighting now, or now it's pushed back? We're not fighting in November. Okay, then we'll prepare for December. So it was a weird year. It was like a year of waiting. It was strange. It was very strange. But in saying that, there are a lot of good things that happened. I had the birth of my son. I got another win. I got the title fight. Even though it didn't happen in the year, I got it and I was preparing for it, and I was in line for that. And I got to spend plenty of time at home. I still did the things I needed to do. I opened up a new gym, post the lockdown scenario in where I live in Sydney, and so I did manage to get things done. I have to list them out to remember. Okay, 21. There were things that got done, but it was certainly a weird year because it went in a blink of an eye, and it felt like the whole year was just kind of like a blip.
Yeah, and it's felt like that for a while now. And we'll move on to the next one. Obviously, we've got UFC 271, huge fight for yourself, big, massive rematch. First off, it's in Houston, Texas, with the fans back in attendance. What do you make of that? Is that something you're excited for?
Yeah, it's a completely different atmosphere when you have fans. I'm happy that the fans can, be a part of it again. It's, we're modern day gladiators. That's what we are. And, we do it for the fans. It wouldn't be a job if there were no fans. So to get in there and bring them all in and to show that to everybody, to give that entertainment to everybody, to give that experience for the fans it's satisfying as an athlete, as a fighter, as the gladiator. So, yeah, and it's something different. It's something different. Like, it's good to change things up. My last 3 fights have been COVID fights, like with zero crowds. So to have it sold out and hear that energy and that vibe, it'll be a good thing.
Is there anything you'd miss about the no crowds? I know a lot of people when it first came into play were saying, I love being able to hear my coach's clear instructions without all these fans screaming over the top of it.
No, yeah, no, I love the no crowds. And I reckon the fans hate to hear that, but I loved it because it was just so intimate. It was so personal. It was like a night in the gym at sparring. Everyone's in the back getting ready, just training up, doing their own thing, sticking to themselves, and then you walk out into a quiet arena, get to work. You can hear your coaches, you can hear the footsteps, and then you go home and you don't see any fans, you don't hear any jibes, you just, do your work.
Yeah, and on the card, it's got a real Aussie feel to the card, and one of your teammates is on it with Jacob Malkoun. What's it like preparing for, a big event together and having someone in camp all aiming for the same date?
Yeah, it's good because it's like a shared burden, so when I'm fighting in the same card as my teammate and, we're preparing for the same dates, we're getting our weight down, we're getting through the hard sessions together, like it's sharing the load, and it just makes those really hard sessions and those trying days a little bit easier because, well, I'm hungry, but he's also hungry, as slack as that is.
And talk to us about him as a fighter. Obviously, it's a huge 2022 for you, but he's, just making his name for himself in the UFC. How far do you think he can actually go?
I think he can go all the way. I think he's got a style of fighting that I think will pose a lot of problems for a lot of guys bar the top 10. I think once he reaches that top 10, that's where he'll hit his start, like his strides. He'll start fighting those challenges that can give him a hard fight, because in saying that, every fight is hard, but I just think stylistically he has a game that can just shut down a lot of the early birds where he's situated at the moment on the ladder. So yeah, I expect big things. He gives me a hell of a hard time at training.
Good to hear. Can't wait to watch his fights as well. But the one everyone's tuning in for is Robert Whittaker, Adesanya 2. We have to go back to the first fight. Obviously, didn't go your way. Since then, have you studied the fight? What are you taking from it? And, what have you learned from that loss?
Yeah, moving from that fight and moving into the rematch, there's obviously my coaches have dissected that fight 100 times. We've seen what we can take from him, what I did wrong, what I did right, what he did right, what he did wrong, and we've also been studying his fight since then. Where we can make angles, where we can make some changes, what we can do to exploit certain or create certain holes of opportunity. So yeah, it's a lot of work's gone into this, and in the camp leading up to the fight, a lot of work is going into the fight that's coming up. This camp's been hard. It's been a hard camp. And there's, and the fight's around the corner, figuratively speaking, but there's still so much work to get done before then. We still got weeks before I fly out, before I can, I can take a step back and unwind. So, I'm investing a lot into this fight. I'm doing everything I can.
And how does the camp actually look different in comparison to the last one? Is it, different sparring partners, different tactics, or is it just trying to fine tune it for the night? Was it just the performance on the night, or the whole preparation kind of went out the window as well?
Do you mean like the differences between this fight coming and the first Adesanya fight, or this fight and my last fight?
That one and the Adesanya one. Obviously, I'm sure you had a lot of good things on Adesanya going into the first fight, but it didn't quite work out. So is it kind of a case of fine tuning a few things that you already had on him, or is it kind of all the ideas are fresh?
Yeah, all the ideas are fresh. It's there's been so many changes. Like, how long ago was that now? That was 4 years or so. Was it? I don't know. That's a long time. That's a long, that's a long time between fights. And, I've changed so many things since that fight. I've changed coaching staff. I've changed locations. I've changed the way I train, why I train. I've changed myself as a person outside of the octagon, which directly impacts how I am inside, walking into it, how I deal with my training, how I develop my training, how I'm going through it all, how I'm going through the process. So there's been a lot of changes, and I guess that's the overarching feature or feeling I get when I'm moving into this next fight. It's just that, I am confident and I am satisfied with who I am and why I do it and what I'm doing to get to this fight, that when I get in there, I'm going to give it my absolute 100%, and I will be satisfied with the result if I can do that, because I didn't get that satisfaction after the first fight. I lost, but I feel like I didn't give 100%. I feel like it wasn't me out there. I feel like in the lead up, it wasn't how I wanted to do things. So, like I said, if I can do all that, this fight moving forward, I will leave satisfied.
Yeah, and I obviously in the media lately, you've been talking to a lot of people, and something that's popped up and being picked up by a lot of outlets is that you saying that you feel like ego kind of cost you going into that fight. And, from a fan's perspective, you seem like one of the most humble champions we've had. So I just want you to kind of go into that in terms of the ego comments. What exactly was it that kind of got to you?
I think everybody's got ego, and I think sometimes some people just don't want to, really look into it, really delve into it, and things like that. And I guess just looking at different things, why things annoyed me, why he made me so angry, why he got under my skin so much, and if I break it down and I look at it, because I have looked at it, I have to look at it, and I just think to myself, like, it was my ego getting the better of me. I was threatened by this new guy coming in and doing my thing and taking it from me. And I think that got to me. I think it just played on myself in that little scenario. And it just, it was, that's the only thing I can rule it down to. Ego is a good thing though, because especially in a world of fighting, you need some form of ego. But I think you gotta control it. You gotta temper it. You can't let it control you. And I think it got the better of me.
Yeah, and are you preparing for that kind of verbal, mental warfare going in? Obviously, you've said it is around the corner, but there's still a little while to go. Yeah, not a lot of back and forth has been exchanged, but Izzy's obviously a very vocal guy. Are you expecting that, come fight week and towards the fight, as it creeps closer, he's going to start to put it on you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The only thing I can control is myself and my actions and what I'm going to do. And I'm over that side of the game. I have completely come to terms with why I do things, how I do things. And, my ego certainly won't be a problem moving into the next fight.
Good,
so,
man. And sorry, go on.
No, yeah. So I don't see myself getting affected as much. And I think him seeing that, he won't try and push it. I think we can have a real respectful fight. It's the second fight, and with the two biggest names down this side of the world. So, I think it can. It'll be something different.
And so, the actual fight tactically, where are you looking to get this fight out? When you picture it and your game plan and things like that, how do you see yourself getting this win?
I want to utilize my complete skill set. You've seen in my recent fights, I've truly adapted to MMA. I've been utilizing my wrestling and grappling, and that's more or less what I want to do. I want to go in there and I want to utilize my complete skill set. I want to use my striking, and if I see opportunities for takedowns, I want to take him down to the ground. I want to fight him on the ground. I want to make him uncomfortable, because I'm very confident in my grappling, and if I can mix that in and give him different looks and give him different angles, I think I can make him uncomfortable.
And do you have a prediction? Do you expect this fight to drag into the later rounds and you'll potentially get on the scorecard, or do you think you're capable of taking him out?
It's hard to say. I think it'd be too presumptuous of me to say I'll take him out, but I just I'm going to give him a hard fight. Let me tell you, I'm doing everything I can in preparation for this fight to get in there and give him a hard fight and give my all for it. So yeah, that's the only thing I can bank on is give him a hard one.
Good. And as you said, last year weren't the most busy inside the octagon. With this one, you could be world champion by February. So how do you see the rest of the year playing out after that? Do you think you'll stay busy? Do you think they're going to demand an immediate rematch if you win, or how do you see it playing out?
Mate, honestly, my calendar goes until the fight, until February 12th. Like that's as far as I've booked foot forward. I do know that after this fight, I'm gonna go on holidays with my family a little bit and take some, kick my feet up a little bit because whilst I didn't fight, we were prepping for October. We were prepping for November. We were prepping for December. We were prepping for January. And then it finally got announced for February. So it's like, for all those months leading into those periods, like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take my family away. I was in the gym, working. And yeah, as well as it's a title fight. Title fights take a big mental toll on you. There's a lot of stuff surrounding a title fight, a lot of media, a lot of stress, a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of work on the night. So, yeah, I want to take my family away, kick my feet up, and then worry about it after.
Well, rest. And on the same card, I've got to ask you, obviously, middleweight seems to be one of the most, stacked divisions at the minute. And on the same card, we've got it seems like a title elimination fight between Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson. What do you make of that fight? How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, that's a tricky fight to predict because Brunson's but then Brunson's a good fighter. You can see the only guys he's really lost to have been, previous champs really. So I think Cannonier is a tough guy to beat though. I think Cannonier to get this win takes him down and holds him down and makes him uncomfortable and just grinds him out there for 3 rounds. But Cannonier is very hard to hold down. And he hits like a truck. His stand-up striking is very, very technical, very, very textbook. So it's an interesting fight. And it's going to go 2 ways. Either Brunson holds him down and wins that way, or Cannonier just hurts him and finishes him.
Yeah, obviously you fought Cannonier more recently than Brunson. I was wondering what you make of the new Brunson. Obviously he's dyed the hair blonde Brunson, and he seems to be steamrolling all these up and comers. Is he getting better, or is he just facing lesser competition? How do you see it?
Well, he kind of fights the same way, doesn't he? You know what I mean? Like he gets in your face and then grinds you up against the fence and then takes you down and makes your life a living hell. I think he was always that good. It's just, he just fought some good opponents and had some bad nights. He definitely seems more experienced and, making smarter decisions in the octagon for sure.
Absolutely. And another middleweight contender, just had his title shot, Marvin Vettori. Seems like he's a way off and then gets that win over Costa and he's right back in the mix. What do you make of him as a, potential contender, potential future opponent?
Yeah, no, he's a hard night for anybody. He's tough as nails. He's got cardio for days, and he's very well rounded. He's just a tough night in the office, And I think he'll always be there. I think he'll always be in that ladder, And he's a nightmare of a fight for a lot of people.
And after that Jan Blachowicz fight, obviously everyone thought, the way to beat Izzy is to take him, get him, put him on his bum and he can't get back up. But Vettori tried all night and couldn't quite get that takedown. So how do you think you'll fare in that facet of things? Do you think you'll be able to, put him on his back and really make him work?
I have to wait and see because that's the whole thing. I'm not just looking for takedowns. My striking is up there with the best in the world. And I intend to utilize my striking to open up avenues for takedowns. But if they're not there, they're not there. It's a fight. It's a flowing and moving thing. And we'll just have to see where the chips fall.
And how much do you think the extra 20 pounds, came into a factor, with Jan being able to take him down, Marvin not being able to? Does that play into it?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. There's a big difference between middleweights and light heavyweights. And they're strong guys yeah, they're very strong guys, big guys. It's a completely different world.
Yeah, another one we've got coming up, Strickland. He's making a bunch of noise, but his performance is backing it up as well. So 5 wins on the bounce. Beat the brakes off your Uriah Hall last time out, coming up against Jack Hermanson next. What do you make of him?
Yeah, he's a character, that's for sure. Again, he's a tough guy, well-rounded, and he's got cardio for days. I think that style of fight, those cardio tough fights, are just hard fights for a lot of guys. I think a lot of guys can't keep up with those sort of fights, and you see the volume and the pressure of them going forward and taking the damage just starts to really add up.
Yeah, and finally on the middleweights, we've got Darren Till, obviously someone you shared octagon with. I thought, since you've been back, he give you potentially your toughest fight to date. So, but what's going wrong for him? Because he lost against Brunson. He's on a bit of a skid. How can he get back into the mix?
He's just got to do his thing. I think he was injured that last fight with Brunson, and it looked like he was injured because he was having a lot of troubles with trying to get back up after getting taken down, and he was having troubles stuffing those takedowns. So, it certainly makes sense if he was injured for those fights. He's a good fighter, and he's fighting good opponents. I think that's just the game sometimes, He's just got to keep doing his thing,
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully see him back in 2022. And finally, just before I let you go, I've got to ask you what you make of all this Jake Paul, Dana White beef. Who are you backing?
Mate. I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest, because I keep myself out of that stuff.
Keep it focused on the fight.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I just don't have time for it. I don't have time. I don't watch a lot of media stuff and things like that. And because just don't have the time, don't have the brain space.
Oh, you sound like a busy man, and I'll let you go because I've took up enough of your time. Thanks for making time for me, Robert, and I wish you good luck with the rest of camp and fight night. I can't wait to watch.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.